Hello everyone, this is Compass, navigating legal studies for your mission. This video is for a legal essay practice. Today's topic is taking. Problem. Three properties in the town of Maplewood are owned by different individuals. Parcel A, owned by Robert, is a large commercial property previously used for manufacturing facilities. Robert intends to redevelop the parcel into a mixed-use residential and commercial space. Parcel B, owned by Susan, is an apartment complex directly adjacent to Parcel A. Parcel C, owned by George, is a vacant lot located to the north of both parcels A and B, and George plans to develop a community park. The town of Maplewood recently enacted new zoning laws and regulations as part of its effort to improve infrastructure and economic development. These actions affect each of the three parcels in the following ways. Parcel A, the town rezoned the parcel to limit its use to residential purpose only, forbidding any commercial or industrial activities on the site. The town also imposed environmental restrictions that prevent any development on Parcel A for the next 5 years, citing pollution concerns from the previous manufacturing operations. Parcel B, the town approved a plan to run a new public highway through Parcel B to connect with a regional road, thereby cutting across the apartment complex. The town promises compensation for damages but does not specify an amount. Parcel C, the town has issued a declaration of eminent domain for Parcel C, stating that it intends to seize the property from George to build a public park. The town justifies the seizure based on the need for increased recreational spaces for the community. Questions. 1. Do the town's action with respect to Parcel A constitute a taking under the Constitution? 2. Do the town's action with respect to Parcel B constitute a taking under the Constitution? 3. May the town seize Parcel C under the taking clause of the Fifth Amendment if it offers just compensation to George? 1. At issue is whether the town's zoning restrictions and environmental regulations on Parcel A constitute a taking under the Constitution. A regulatory taking occurs when government actions deprive a property of all economically viable use. A zoning ordinance or regulatory action may result in a compensable taking if it goes too far and limits the property's use to such an extent that it ineffectively deprives the owner of their ability to derive economic value from the property. Here, the town's actions have limited Parcel A to only residential use and have imposed environmental restrictions preventing development for 5 years due to concerns about past industrial use. These actions have effectively rendered the parcel unusable for any commercial or industrial development, thus depriving Robot of any economically viable use of the land for the foreseeable future. As such, the town's regulatory restrictions would likely be seen as a compensable regulatory taking under the Fifth Amendment. Therefore, the town's action with respect to parcel A likely constitute a compensable taking as they deprive the land of all economically viable use for an extended period, triggering the requirement for just compensation. 2. At issue is whether the town's approval of a public highway through parcel B, resulting in disruption of the apartment complex, constitutes a taking under the Constitution. A physical taking occurs when the government occupies or takes possession of private property. The government must compensate the property owner for any permanent physical invasion of property, even if the property retains some use. Here, the town's approval of public highway that cuts through parcel B and affects Susan's apartment complex constitutes a permanent physical invasion of her property. Although the government has promised compensation, the highway's construction will permanently alter the use of the land. The town's actions in this case likely amount to a compensable taking. Therefore, the town's actions with respect to parcel B likely constitute a taking, as they involve a permanent physical invasion of the property, which requires just compensation under the Fifth Amendment. 3. At issue is whether the town may seize parcel C for the public use of building a park with just compensation for church. The government may exercise eminent domain and seize private property for public use if it offers just compensation to the owner, as allowed by the Fifth Amendment. A taking for a public use includes actions like constructing parks, schools, or other public infrastructure. Here, the town has declared its intent to seize parcel C through eminent domain for the purpose of constructing a public park, which is recognized public use. The town has also offered to pay just compensation for the property. Given that the taking is for public use and the offer of a compensation is in place, the town is within its constitutional authority to seize parcel C. Therefore, the town may seize parcel C for public use under the takings clause of the Fifth Amendment as long as it offers just compensation to George. These are the key rules of today's topic. A regulatory taking occurs when government actions, such as zoning laws or environmental regulations, deprive a property of all economically viable uses. If these regulations limit the property's use to such an extent that the owner can no longer derive meaningful economic value from it, it may constitute a compensable taking under the Fifth Amendment. In determining whether a regulatory taking has occurred, courts examine whether the regulation goes too far and substantially limits the property's economic potential. A physical taking happens when the government physically occupies or invades private property, even if the government does not take full ownership of the property, a permanent physical occupation or invasion, such as constructing a highway or placing infrastructure on private land, can constitute a compensable taking. The key aspect of a physical taking is that it results in a permanent alteration or occupation of the property, which requires the government to pay just compensation to the property owner. Government may exercise eminent domain to seize property for public use as long as it offers just compensation. This power is grounded in the Fifth Amendment, which allows for the taking of property for purposes such as building public infrastructure or parks. A taking for public use is generally upheld as long as it serves a legitimate public purpose and compensation is provided to the property owner. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. God bless you.